You're listening to the Reflective Teacher Podcast, and this is episode number 1. Hi, I'm Selena Woodward, and I'm an English and drama teacher, university lecturer, and with edufolios.org, a big-time reflective practitioner. So how can reflective practice help you grow your teaching skills, fall in love with your profession all over again, and help you nail accreditation and teacher registration with less stress and less work? Well, this is the Reflective Teacher Podcast. Well, hello and welcome to the very first episode of the Reflective Teacher Podcast. It's amazing to have you here. Thank you so much for giving up some of your time to tune in and listen. We're going to be here every Wednesday with new ideas, thoughts, and tips about reflective practice. Because I know that there are thousands and thousands of educators across Australia right now who are either avoiding accreditation or going through the process, whether that be pre-service teachers, we're talking to you, gathering your graduate evidence, all the way up to proficient, highly accomplished, and lead. And often this process feels daunting and frightening and a heck of a lot of work. Well, I happen to know ways in which if we put our practice first and our reflection very firmly second, we can meet all of our accreditation requirements. And each episode is going to be exploring new tips and ideas to help you do that as effortlessly as we can. Now, I'd like to start this podcast by thinking about that idea of growth and thinking about what strategies and processes we may or may not already have in place to help us identify the impact that we're having and help us know how we're going to have an impact on ourselves and our own skills and practices. So let me ask you a question. How do you go about working out what you're really good at and what you could do with growing? What do? Do you have a colleague that you talk to? Do you keep thoughts in your mind but not really write them down? Do you have an edufolio maybe, and that edufolio is showing you all your strengths and weaknesses, and that's also a bit scary because you're not sure what to do next? What do you do to help you identify where you're growing, what you need to work on, and what your strengths are, and how you could help others with those strengths? Some of you might have answered that question with the idea of performance management. Perhaps every couple of terms, or even right now you might be doing this, you're setting a goal that you want to achieve, whether it be this term or this year. Maybe you're thinking smaller and you were thinking, well, I look back on last lesson and I think, well, that went well, that didn't. And I look at the students' data to back that up. So whether you're thinking about last prac, last lesson, last year, last term, last accreditation period, it doesn't really matter. What we do need to know, though, is what are we aspiring to professionally? What is it that we would like to see grow and change? What I don't want to talk about, though, is goal setting. I'll tell you why. I was listening to an amazing podcast by a guy named James Wedmore. You should check out his podcast. It's called Mind Your Business. And I've been listening to it as I've been growing the business of Edufolios. And it's amazing. And one of his podcasts at the end of 2018 was about how setting goals and targets for yourself or your business or yourself professionally was a complete waste of time on its own. Now, we all are used to the idea of New Year's resolutions, of professional performance review goals, right? It's just kind of what we've been taught is the way you do things. You set a goal and then you meet or do not meet that goal. And you do that every year, right? Or every term. But what I learned from this podcast is that if all I do is that, then I'm not going to do as well as I could. And there's a tiny chance that I'm thinking way too small for myself too. And as a teacher, I know that I'm very guilty of that. I will definitely play down what I can do and what I know. And sometimes it comes down to a lack of confidence and awareness in myself. And I don't often give myself time to connect with that confidence and awareness. Let's be honest, our days are flipping busy, right? So have a think. If you said, I write down a goal and then I have this meeting with my line manager and we go through that and that will help me choose my PD that I go to and we'll come back and we'll review that. And you were cool with that. I want you to think about all of the things that happened in the previous review period and whether there was anything in that period that you're still carrying with you now. That's right. We've had a nice long summer holiday. We're a week or two in. Are you still carrying some emotional baggage, some things with you that you've brought forward from last year that are not helpful? I know I have a habit of doing that. You might have decided that you took a leap of faith and it didn't work in a particular area, and you're letting the feelings of disappointment weigh you down a little bit, and it's a bit harder to move forward. Maybe you didn't meet a goal that you wanted to meet, and maybe that thing is still there a little bit quietly weighing you down. If that's the case, it's probably true to say that it's a really good idea to do things a little bit differently. Rather than just setting a goal, what if we took some time out and we maybe made an hour in our day, or half an hour, whatever we got, even half a knit would do the job, and we use that time to really deeply think about how we felt. That's right, how we felt about that last reflection period, whether that's last lesson, last term, that unit we taught. All of these can be used to create a piece of reflective evidence, whatever the period is, to really think about how we felt about it and let those feelings guide us to create a list of things that were both good and bad. Now, you might be thinking, that sounds like a lot of work, Selena, and have you met me? I've got so much on. Well, of course, I'm going to guide you through this. I'm going to give you step-by-step instructions and a bit of a framework. So if you head to edufolios.org/001 right now, you'll be able to download a freebie, a guide to this reflective practice that will definitely result in you having an awesome piece of evidence for your portfolio. Trust me on this. So go to edufolios.org/001 and grab the freebie. When you download it, you're going to see some tables that you're going to fill in. The first two are pretty straightforward. They just mean you have to be honest with yourself. If you need a coffee and a biscuit to do that, totally go get those as well. I definitely respect that. Sit down with your coffee and your biscuit, glass of wine, whatever you need. And I want you to make a list of all of the things that you felt really good about, or that you feel you should be proud of. Things you're proud of or you should be proud of, things that excited you, things that made you happy about last year as an educator, about last term, about last lesson, whatever you want to choose. Things that made you feel good. Then you're going to do the same process for things that did not make you feel good. Maybe you felt a bit disappointed. Maybe you even went as far as feeling a bit ashamed of what happened. I don't know what it is. I tell you, when I did this process, my things I didn't feel good about list was much bigger than my things I felt good about list. I don't know what will happen for you, but I'm pretty hard on myself. I'm going to ask you to be kind to yourself, okay? But I need you to make a list, 2 lists. One is what felt good, and one is what felt bad. And I just want you to leave it at that to start with. We're not goal setting here. We're reflecting on what we did in the past. Okay, now when you've done that, and remember, you can get that freebie from edufolios.org/001 to help you. When you've done that work, there is a step 2. The step 2 is for each one of the things on your list, you are then going to think about the why. So if you have something on your list, say for example in your positive list, you felt really good about your reading program. I want you to say why. Did you have great results? Did you see some amazing progress in your students? And then I want you to think about how that happened. Is that because your planning was spot on? Is it because you went on some PD and you saw some progress because you implemented what you learnt on the PD? Is it because you had the support of an amazing colleague who guided you through the process and an awesome SSO or classroom assistant who was able to help bridge the gaps if there were any? What was it? Why did it feel good? And how did you get it to that point? Now that's going to take a few minutes. Mine looks like the first idea and then I just sort of scribbled all over it. Brainstorm if you want. That's for the thing that went well. You're going to do that for all of them. So everything you have in your good list. And then of course you're going to do it for everything you have in your everything I'm not proud of, disappointed in list. Okay? And you're going to think again about why you felt that way and how you got to that position. So say, for example, if you're a primary school teacher, and forgive me because I'm a high school English teacher, but this is something I can relate to just by watching my son who is at primary school. If you had an awesome reading program and you got great results, but you're beating yourself up because that unit that you wrote on that numeracy thing that you had to do didn't go so well, and you didn't see the impact that you wanted, and you left a couple of kids behind, and you're feeling a bit bad about that and a bit frustrated because you did go and do the PD and you did go and talk to some colleagues and it still didn't work out. You might be feeling really rubbish about it. We're going to need to turn those emotions. We're not taking all of that guilt, shame, whatever, disappointment with us to the next term. Oh, no. We need to look at that and we need to think about why that happened. Okay, we rushed. Did you need some more resources? Did you get it wrong? Did the data not give you the perfect picture to help you plan? Did you not have what you needed? What was it do you need a different PD? I want you to think about why that is the case. Because when you do that, you turn those losses into wins. You are learning. The fail, if you want to call it that, as we always tell our students, becomes a first attempt in learning. And it's definitely not okay for us to carry the feelings of disappointment forward. We wouldn't want our students to do that because it holds them back. We want to build confidence, and I want you to give yourself the same opportunity. So both for the positives and the things that you are a little bit disappointed in and not proud of, you're going to think about the hows and the whys. Now, as you do this, you may find some connections. You may find that there are lessons that you can take from your awesome reading program to apply to your numeracy program. And you may be able to set a target around something very specific. The target is not going to be improve my numeracy program. It's going to be far more specific than that. It might be find some graded differentiated tools to deal with the different levels of attainment in my classroom. It might be, I need to find a real life example. All right, because that's what's working really well in the reading. So maybe I need to try that in the numeracy. Right, what is it that is going to help you move forward? They're going to be small but very specific targets. And if you're lucky, when I did this, oh my goodness, I just had some serious epiphany moments, like things that I genuinely had not realized were barriers for me. I located them, I identified them, I pulled them apart, and I turned them into complete positives. There are things in my list that I have in my I'm proud of list that didn't really light me up either. And I even went as far as to look at that list and go, I should be proud of that, but it's not making me feel as good as I think it should. Why is that? Why isn't that as important to me as something else? And is that something I need to work on, or do I need to change my perspective here? When you do this work, I would really love for you to share something about this. And this is where the reflective post comes in, the thing where you're going to get all of this reflection and link it back to those fabulous standards that we have. Because when you're going through this process and you are thinking about what felt good, what did not feel good, why things went well and why they did not go well, there is absolutely no way that you will not be talking about how you knew your students and what you learned about them through this process. You are most definitely going to be talking about the curriculum at some point, the content, that's standard 2. I imagine that at some point in your list, planning and unit planning and teaching and learning and lesson objectives, something is going to pop up from standard 3. Maybe it's going to be something about behavior management or how you organize your time or what policies you need to get into. Maybe you need to develop a better understanding of individual education plans or something. Maybe we're going to get standard 4, the one that everyone loves, standard 5. And I say that sarcastically because the data shows that standard 5 is really the one we all avoid for some reason. You're going to be talking about how you know that, why you know that. That's standard 5. Are you hearing me? Are you hearing me about how by having this conversation with yourself, you have the opportunity to write one reflective post where you talk about what your goal is and how you got there, why you think that. So if you're saying to me, my students didn't hit the goal I wanted them to, see if you can find some evidence for that, an artifact. It could be a graph with data in it. It could be a student sample. And we can talk more about that, the artifact side of things, in upcoming podcasts. But can you hear how that one simple reflection becomes super powerful, and how you can then use the focus areas inside those 7 standards to really drill down? Well, I hope you can at least begin that process. So my challenge for you is to go to edufolios.org/001 and download the cheat sheet, the guide, and give yourself half an hour with a cup of coffee. Do it with friends if you want, do it on your own, whatever feels comfy, and do this process and turn it into a reflective piece. And then I'd love to hear how this experience went for you. Did it work? Did you get something awesome out of it? Whether that be purely just knowing exactly what you need to be doing in the next period, or whether that was an amazing piece of accreditation evidence. Let me know how you go. You can head to our Facebook group or Facebook page, our Twitter, our Instagram. We're all Edufolios in all of those places. Come find us and let us know how you went. I can't wait to hear. And of course, don't forget to tune in next Wednesday, where we'll have more ideas and more tips for you. Take care.